Welcome to PWS United, a podcast for the Prader-Willi syndrome community, brought to you by PWSA USA. This podcast gives the latest news in research, advocacy, and family support by bringing together staff, volunteers, PWS treatment specialists, biotech and pharmaceutical representatives, caregivers, family members, and individuals with PWS. Our goal is to share education, awareness, and resources with those living with PWS and their supporters. Join us in our mission to enhance the quality of life and empower those affected by Prader-Willi syndrome.
Well, we're here for another episode of PWS United, and it's Carrie and I. We're going to go over the pulse. And I'll just say that I just heard people milling about in my house, so I'm trying to be in a quiet place. But if you hear background, it's because people live here.
Yep, and I heard a little, door squeak or something,
Yep.
so that's
That
so
was
funny. That was perfect timing. Door is an unpaid actor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, how are you doing, Carrie?
I'm doing well, Annie. I'm currently very jealous of a lot of our coworkers who got to spend the weekend in Florida at the hot stove dinner, and I was in cold Ohio, then cold Wisconsin, and it's just cold. I saw their pictures. They were texting me pictures, Zoom chatting me pictures, and I'm like, I get it.
Oh my God.
I know you're sending them to me because we're gonna put them out to the world, but I'm also not enjoying getting them.
Right. Yeah.
No, all love, all love. They were beautiful photos, and we will put them out soon here when we have a little more of a recap to share. I heard a couple of things from people, Annie, that they had a wonderful time, and as always, it was such a successful event. But I think Stacy, in her text to us yesterday, took the cake of my favorite takeaway that she had of the hot stove, and I'm gonna let you share it because were a fan. Are a fan. Either way.
Well, yeah. So what Stacy texted us in the morning was that she had spoken with somebody affiliated with the Pittsburgh Pirates who really enjoys the podcast.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we can say his name.
We can
I
just
don't
call him Joe.
We can call
Joe.
him Joe. Joe, if you're listening, we really appreciated the compliment. It got back to
Mhm.
us and we really appreciated it. And especially because I was just telling Carrie that my parents are from the Pittsburgh area. I was born in the Pittsburgh area and I grew up to be a Pirates fan. Well, I grew up as a Pirates fan. Now I don't really watch baseball anymore, unless it's
Full
our
disclosure.
local Humboldt Crabs game, which is
Oh,
super
fun.
fun because we have our own band and we're known for
Mm.
heckling. It's very fun. But anyway, that aside, the Pittsburgh Pirates are a huge thing in my childhood home, and I had a poster of Andy Van Slyke, who was the center fielder in the '90s. I don't know, I had a big crush on him, and
Oh,
anyway, I got
love
to go
it.
to a couple Pirates games when I was younger, and so that was just really cool. So of course, Stacy sent that text, and then I right away sent it to my mom and said, "Look, look, Mom, I made it."
Made it. This is how we know that a Pittsburgh Pirates affiliate loves
Yes,
listening to our podcast. That's when you
yes,
know you've
yep.
made it.
So anyway, that was exciting. And yeah, just I want to say before we get too far into it, this episode is for the Pulse, Volume 143 from March 20th, 2026. Let people know
Set
where
the
we're at.
stage, set the
Yes.
scene. No, it's important. Thank you. And we could go on and on about the hot stove. Again, it's always such a wonderful event hosted by Clint and Carla Hurdle, who, of course, are parents to Maddie, who is living with PWS. And I'm excited to get more photos and more reaction from those who attended. And we'll be sharing that in the coming weeks, I would guess. So stay tuned. And just thank you to those who supported the hot stove in every way. If you attended, if you donated, if you participated in the auction, bought a golf ball drop for the helicopter golf ball drop, the coconut golf ball drop. Yes, the coconut golf ball drop. All the names. Just thank you for being involved and for supporting PWSA. We greatly appreciate it. So we'll move on now to our spotlight on PWS. And we actually spotlighted art from our very first run of the Rare Aware Art Share that took place in 2024, I believe.
I believe you are correct.
Yes, 2024. I can't believe how fast time flies. I'm like, that was 2 years ago. That's crazy.
Wow.
Wow. So Annie had created this really amazing collage video of all of the artwork that was submitted for our opening theme for this awareness initiative. And the theme was, "What is your superpower?" So we were, again, incredibly inspired by all of the art and the reflections that were submitted for that theme and created a great little compilation video that you can all go and watch. And we will have the link to watch the video in our show notes. We also are asking for people to participate in our current Wear Aware Art Share theme, which is advocacy and awareness. And we are accepting submissions for that through April 1st. So please, please, if you have a loved one with PWS, share all the artwork with
Yes.
us that they have. We appreciate all of it. And we'll have a link to learn more about this year's theme and where to submit in our show notes. And we also will have an opportunity to share your own spotlight on PWS as well.
I think there was a cool idea. We have a picture from a parent whose daughter, there was some advocacy related picture of her daughter at a podium, and then she cut that picture out, and then her daughter decorated the paper. And then Carrie, you had an idea for Freya, which I really love. I have a picture of her at a disability pride parade holding a sign, and I don't remember what it
Mm,
says. It's something like everyone deserves love or something really sweet. So
yeah,
I want to kind of take that idea for Freya as well. Yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there because I thought that was such a fun idea. So even something like that. So I'm going to do this kind of the same thing with Freya. We're going to cut that picture out and then she can decorate all around it, kind of what that experience was advocating for people with disabilities. So anyway, just if anybody's looking for an idea, I thought that was
yeah,
a fun one.
that's a great one. We appreciate Sherry for bringing that to us and the idea. And I think honestly, it could even just be like a fun craft to do.
Yeah,
I'm going to share that with all of my mom friends. So
nice.
just a really good one. Yeah, it was great. All right, moving on to our PWS resource spotlight of the week. We have another very exciting PWS Awareness Month on the horizon. Of course, that takes place in May. And one way to celebrate this important time is by advocating for an awareness proclamation in your community. A proclamation is an official designation of an event, and proclamations are a great way to educate the public about PWS and bring attention to our cause. It's also an effective tool for gaining public recognition of your cause and or your event if you're doing an event of any kind because it carries the full support of a key government official in your state or community. So you can learn more about proclamations for PWS advocacy by downloading our proclamation toolkit at the link in our show notes, and a big shout out to our advocacy team, Dorothea and Elaine, for putting that together and having a great resource and tool for the community around this time.
So we're going to move on to events and fundraisers. And this one is coming up Saturday, April 25th. And this is a very fancy, lovely, exciting event called Solidarity and Spice, a rare wine pairing dinner. And this is benefiting the No More Lasts PWSA USA Equity Project. And this is in Washington, D.C. It is an extraordinary 6-course wine pairing dinner hosted by Anish Bhatnagar, CEO of Soleno Therapeutics, and Dini Rao, wine curator, mom to Aoni living with PWS, and PWSA USA Board of Directors member. And this is at the renowned Rasika West End. More than a remarkable culinary experience, this evening brings our community together for an important purpose. Join us to launch and support the No More Lasts PWSA USA Equity Project. The No More Lasts initiative aims to close the gap in racial, ethnic, religious, and other disparities for those affected by Prader-Willi syndrome by accelerating diagnoses, access to evidence-based care, and inclusion in research so no community is left last. So this is, again, going to be an incredible event. I think there's just a few more tickets left. So if you are in the DC area and you're interested, check that out. I mean, certainly anywhere you are, check it out if you have the ability to travel. And you will find a link to purchase tickets in the show notes. And you will also find a link to a sweet video of Deanie kind of talking about the event and the purpose of it, the intentions of this event. We'd also like to let you know that PWS families are invited to attend the 2026 PWANY. In my head, I always say Pawnee, but I don't know if they have a cute little way of saying it, but the
Mhm.
Prader-Willi Alliance of New York Conference. And this is in Syracuse, New York on April 17th and 18th. Attendees will hear from nationally recognized presenters in sessions targeting a variety of relevant topics, including advocacy, education, behavior, housing, and medical concerns. There will also be numerous opportunities for the entire family to make connections throughout the weekend, such as social time Friday evening and activity rooms for both individuals with PWS and their school age siblings. Again, you will find a link for that in the show notes. And then we also have a list of other events coming up, and you'll find a link to our events page, and you can go to that events page and check out all the exciting things like the Moms Retreat, Proud or Silly, the 2027 National Convention, Dad's Retreat, and so much more. So go check out that link.
So, in our advocacy section of the Pulse, we start with an exciting spotlight to share. Prader-Willi syndrome was highlighted on a national stage through a recent article featured in the 2026 Rare Diseases Special section of USA Today, with additional digital placement on the Future of Personal Health Hub. This important opportunity was made possible by Soleno Therapeutics. Thank you, Soleno. The article shines a light on the complexity of PWS and the significant impact of hyperphagia, reinforcing the urgent need for increased awareness and access to specialized care. It also features a powerful quote from our very own Stacey Ward. This far reaching campaign includes a national print insert, digital promotion across USA Today and Future of Personal Health platforms, distribution via PR Newswire, and visibility at major industry conferences such as the BIO International Convention and World Orphan Drug Congress. The campaign is also being amplified by several rare disease advocacy organizations. Together, all of these efforts, and I again listed many just then, will help elevate awareness of PWS and bring critical attention to the needs of individuals and families affected by PWS. So we will have links to several of the things that I listed off, including the USA Today article, a copy of the PDF version of the print campaign, and then a digital article on future of personal health. You can find all of those in the show notes to read more and see PWS spotlighted again on the national stage.
Moving on to family supports, our first article is about finding a viable treatment for excessive daytime sleepiness through the Tempo trial. So, because we like to recognize things that are important to PWS, we were recognizing Sleep Awareness Week, which was March 9th through the 14th, and then World Sleep Day, March 14th. As many of us know, disordered sleep is a common issue in individuals with Prader-Willi syndrome. Many of our loved ones are diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea, central sleep apnea, cataplexy, narcolepsy, and/or excessive daytime sleepiness. These symptoms can greatly impact mental cognition, physical stamina, and social and behavioral interactions. Many individuals with PWS have experienced improvement in their quality of life when sleep disorders are properly addressed. For some families, the intervention has been Harmony Biosciences' Tempo clinical trial of pitolisant. If you're interested in learning more about how excessive daytime sleepiness affects individuals with PWS and how the Tempo trial of pitolisant has helped, you will find a link to read this in the show notes. And we had a number of families share their experiences. I was one of them because, as you all know, if you've been listening to this podcast, pitolisant has been a huge success in our household. And actually, I think it was yesterday morning, forgot to give Freya her pitolisant, totally spaced it, and to do something else. I don't know. I just remember coming back in kind of late morning, and Freya was at the table just out, just
Mm.
totally passed out. And I was like, oh my God, Freya, you didn't take your pitolisant, did you? Anyway, so then we woke her up and gave her pills. But yeah, I was just like, "Oh, wow, I wonder," she does sometimes. She still
Mhm.
falls asleep, but, anyway, it just seemed like in that moment, I was like, "Oh, wow, this is like she didn't get her pills this morning." So I'm a big fan,
It's
and yeah,
great, Annie.
I'm not the only one, so if you wanna read from more families, you'll find a link to that in the show notes. Our nurse Lynn for this week is about dissociation and PWS mental health. This was submitted on behalf of a 23-year-old female with a deletion subtype, and the question was, are there any disassociation or dissociative disorders in Prader-Willi? Is disassociation part of PWS? If you want to read Nurse Lynn's response, you'll find a link to that in the show notes, along with a link to submit your own non-emergency medical question.
Moving on to some research news now. If you haven't heard already, the Global PWS Registry recently received an upgrade. Families and caregivers in the PWS community are asked to participate in the Global PWS Registry. The Global Prader-Willi Syndrome Registry is an online registry for people with PWS. It's sponsored by the Foundation for Prader-Willi Research and hosted by the National Organization for Rare Disorders on their I Am Rare platform. The information may be used for a variety of purposes, such as conducting natural history studies and supporting disease specific clinical trial recruitment. The Global Prader-Willi Syndrome Registry serves to support the design of clinical trials that explore new rare disease treatments, describe the people who have PWS, and to better understand the variability and stages of PWS, understand how PWS changes over a person's lifetime, learn about clinical practice patterns and variations over the course of treatment, help to develop best practices, management guidelines, and recommendations so that clinicians can know how to give the best care to improve the quality of life and outcomes of people with PWS, and to identify people with PWS who might be willing to take part in other research studies or clinical trials. You'll be able to choose whether you want to hear about these other studies as well. So you can help support the PWS community and the global registry by signing up today, and we will have a link to do that in our show notes. And again, they recently received an upgrade and there was a couple new surveys added. So if you're already signed up and want to go see what those new surveys are and see if they've been assigned to you to do, we also encourage you to go check that out.
Yeah, and I saw there was a question about the global registry in one of the Facebook groups this weekend. Somebody was asking about if parents ever get to see the information. And from my experience, when I do the global registry, like once you submit whatever survey you're doing, when you hit submit, then the information that comes back to you in like a graph, all de-identified. It doesn't say who said what, but just it kind of gives you like pie charts and graphs of like how everybody else responded. So then you get to kind of see where your answers lie within the rest of the PWS community who is filling out these forms.
Thank you, Annie.
Just a little side note.
Yeah, love it.
So, also in research is a project coming out of the UK from the University of East Anglia. And this project is seeking to learn more about families of South Asian descent from around the world. The facilitators of this project are seeking to learn more about the everyday experiences of South Asian families who have a loved one with intellectual and developmental disabilities, which we know PWS fits into that. So their goal is to create family-friendly, culturally sensitive support that meets their needs. Now, this international study spans the UK, the USA, India, and Sri Lanka, and it is exploring a few things. It's looking at the well-being of parents, siblings, and adults with disabilities, how services can be more inclusive, and family stories and support needs. This project is going to be using surveys, interviews, and discussions, and they aim to uncover challenges and design better strategies for underrepresented communities. This is called the Focus Project. You can find more about this by following the link in our show notes, or you can email focus.project@uea.ac.uk.
And then finally, in research, we have a call for clinicians to help update our database. So we're updating our Prader-Willi syndrome clinical providers database for our families in the community. So if you're a clinical provider in the PWS community, please take some time to fill out the form that we've created on our website, and we will have a link in our show notes to that. The form is intended to collect information about clinicians who individuals with PWS are currently seeing for care. The information you provide in the form will be added to a PWS clinician database on PWSA's website for the Prader-Willi syndrome community to use. And we also have a request to all of our families out there listening. Please share this link, this form link, and information with your PWS specialists as well, so that we can continue to all work together to help build this database, because we know the ones we know and we have who we have on our email list, but we may not have everyone. So we'd love to have some assistance from everyone out there, all of our families as well, and we really appreciate it. And we also are asking for clinicians to just complete one form per clinician. And again, that will be in our show notes. And then, really quick before we move on to our announcement section, I want to mention that we are going to have a new Voices on Vykat testimonial at the end of this episode. So stick around to hear a great interview with Stacy and a PWS mom talking all about Vykat and how it has impacted their family and loved one.
To wrap this up, before we get into our Vykat testimony, we do want to share another PWSA USA Board of Directors member spotlight. This is for Tina Illenfeld, who has an MBA, and she is the treasurer of the PWSA USA Board of Directors. She is from Jefferson, Wisconsin. And you can find a link to read the full spotlight in the show notes, but I'll share this quote with you that's in the Pulse. She says, "By helping to guide decisions that enhance support for families, amplify the voices of the Prader-Willi syndrome community, and advance critical research, I'm reminded that our efforts at the board table have a tangible impact on the lives and futures of individuals with Prader-Willi syndrome and those who care for them." Tina, thank you so much for your work, and that is so true. So we appreciate you. And now, without further ado, here is Voices on Vykat testimonial number 3.
And now our PWS United segment, Voices on Vykat. While PWSA USA does not endorse any specific treatment, we recognize the importance of sharing information about options available to the PWS community. Decisions about medical care should always be made in consultation with a qualified healthcare provider. Please visit www.vykatxr.com for information on use and potential side effects.
My name's Katie, and I have an 8-year-old son named Sam.
Well, thanks for being here with us. Can you walk us through your experience getting Vykat prescribed for Sam?
We saw Dr. Miller, and we discussed how he was feeling about food, how he's dealing with being around food, and we decided that Vykat would be a very good option for him. So then we also have a local endocrinologist, and we discussed it with her too. And thankfully, she is very willing to work with Dr. Miller, and they discussed it together. We were able to get it. Both of them were in agreement that he should give it a try. So then the process got started.
What did that process look like? Did you have to go through prior approval? And is there a difference when you live outside of Florida and you have 2 endocrinologists? So because you don't live in Florida and Dr. Miller, was she the one who actually prescribed it, or was it your local endocrinologist who actually had to write the prescription for coverage?
It's our local one that wrote the prescription for it.
Okay, that makes sense. And then was there any insurance struggles to get coverage?
We did have to do a prior authorization, but he has our state's Medicaid as his insurance. But what is their like
Their Selenium 1 program?
patient? Yeah.
It's not a bridge program, but it's the same kinda.
Yeah, it's their like patient care insurance thing. So we went through that portion of the company, and they had to call us a couple times just to get his insurance numbers again, just his like member ID numbers and whatnot, and we had to do that a couple times, but other than that there wasn't a fight to get it. It was very easy for us to be able to get it, thankfully.
That's amazing.
I was expecting much more of a fight and pushback and needing to talk to more people, but it was luckily very surprisingly easy.
And do you think that's because of Panther Pharmacy and the way that they're involved with that process versus some of the other specialty pharmacies that we use for things like growth hormone?
Yes, because whenever you call a typical pharmacy or, a specialty pharmacy, you usually have to go through 18,000 different people and different calls and this person will call you back, but this person doesn't know what you're talking about. So then they transfer you to someone else. And, it just goes through a lot of hoops to try and get you to the person that you need to talk to. But whenever I called them or they called me, it was like, I don't know if it's the same person that I've talked. It's over and over again. It has been very easy to get to the person that I need to talk to. It's not going through a million different people to get to someone. It's, oh, maybe I need to be transferred to one other person, or, it's just been very easy and not stressful.
That's really encouraging to hear. I have to use a specialty pharmacy for some of my medications, and I know that that process for me has been challenging
Yes.
every single month.
Yes.
So I can only imagine what it's like for the rest of the community dealing with specialty pharmacy. So I wish we had something like Panther handling some of the things that
Mm-hmm.
I have to go for.
Yep.
What has the titration looked like for your family? Has Sam gone through a titration yet?
Yes. So whenever we first started, it was at 25 milligrams, and now he's on 150 milligrams. But user error in my own mom brain, I was talking to other people that I knew were on it, and, we always ask, like, "Oh, what dosage are you on?" And their dosages were always much higher than ours, and I was like, "Why is his so low?" Well, that's because you're supposed to monitor their weight more than I was, so the weight that I initially gave them was not the same weight that he continued being. And I am sure that they asked me that, but I didn't at the time weigh him regularly. So I was like, yeah, that weight has to be still what he is. So, yes, user error for me. But once I really talked to them and said, like, hey, why isn't this changing? They're like, oh, it's based on this and this person and this. And it was very like, wow,
Whoops.
I have been doing this wrong. Yes. So whenever I got that figured out, we were able to consistently get it changed as he needed it changed. And there hasn't been any issues at any of the dosages that he's been at.
Oh, that's great. So you guys aren't seeing any side effects?
No.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know that it's a side effect, but he did get a bit more hairy. But
in
but
places
he's
that he would
also in
normally be hairy?
yeah, not like crazy places, but it's just more than what he was. But
Okay.
he's also in precocious puberty, so I know that that plays a role in it as well. It's correlation, not causation. So,
One
you
of
know,
my favorite phrases.
me too.
Have you guys seen any improvements or positive changes since Sam's been on Vykat?
I feel like it has been very like neutral for us in a lot of ways, but also I think like we notice if he's doing something, we can like get his plate ready and he's not always asking us like, when is it going to be ready? Am I doing this? Like, can we do it? Or sometimes I'll have to stop him from what he's doing and tell him like, oh, it's time to eat. Let's get ready to go wash your hands. And I think it has taken away, somebody else used the phrase like food noise.
Mhm.
And I do feel like that has played a role in it too, that he's able to see us or see he has a younger brother who is 2, and he's a typical 2-year-old. So he wants snacks and eats, at different times than we're eating. And he has been able to say, like, oh, it's brother's time for a snack. Okay, I know I don't get one right now, but it's okay. I can watch him, or he won't even say I can watch him, but he will be watching him and not make a big deal out of it. Not say, why don't I get a snack right now? Like, we just can explain to him, like, oh, brother's younger. He needs different things than your body needs. And I feel like he is more understanding of that, or like cognizant that, hey, we have different bodies and it's okay. And it just feels less, I don't want to say like hurtful, but like less unfair that like he gets to eat right now and I don't. And that's not all the time. Sometimes it is still he, regardless of whatever medicine he's on, he's 8 and he has PWS. And so there will be times that he gets fussy, especially whenever he's like out of his routine or he's extra tired or not feeling well. Like, of course, those times he's going to be out of whack all over.
Mhm.
But I do feel like the food noise has gone down.
Part of what I'm hearing, and I really like hearing, and I think this is sometimes what we miss when we talk about hyperphagia, is those subtle behavior changes
Mhm.
and how much they end up impacting everyone's quality of life.
Mhm.
So if Sam isn't stressing over getting to the table right away or watching you plate his meal, you're not stressing over doing it.
Mhm.
It just brings down the tension everywhere. And as
Mhm.
for, typical 8-year-old behavior, when any of us aren't feeling well or we're tired,
Yeah.
we're all a little
Yeah.
bit more irritable. So
Yes.
that makes
Mhm.
total sense to me.
And I try not to forget that whenever we're going through things, is like, regardless of him having PWS, he's still 8. He's
Yes.
still a growing child who will need more food at some times. And we get so focused on hyperphagia that sometimes I feel like I can forget that, like, yeah, sometimes they are just legitimately hungry. They're growing. But then it also triggers yeah, but what if this is it? What if this causes the thing? What if this is the
Mhm.
moment that everything changes? And so I feel like I really have to check my own emotions in whatever situation that we're in and just say, like, hey, is this or is this him actually just needing something right
Right.
now?
And I think it's great that you check yourself, but I also want you to give yourself some grace around how scary that must feel. When we talk about kind of the extreme of hyperphagia and what that can look like, that's really hard for
Mhm.
families. And I can understand during the typical developmental growth spurts and someone needing more food, that being scary and triggering
Yeah.
up your own emotions. So give yourself some
Mhm.
grace also during those moments. Has adding Vykat to kind of your care plan caused any challenges? Is it or anything positive? So is just adding another med, was that difficult for you guys?
I was just scared that, it's a pill and he's never
Right.
taken like pill medication before. It's like not a small pill. It's so my concern in the beginning was just, how is he going to do this? And I was very scared to just like, what if he chokes? What if he doesn't get it down? What if this? What if that? And then I had to, I don't know if I went out of town or something, but I come back and like his dad did it with him. He's like, yeah, he's just been able to do it since the first time. I was like,
That's
oh,
so cool.
what?
That's
Uh,
very cool. I couldn't swallow pills till I was in my 20s, so that's impressive.
yeah, exactly. And I don't like swallowing pills still now. And
Right.
even my like daily medication, I'm like, oh, is it gonna get stuck? Because I mean, whenever I was a teen, I did have an issue where a pill got stuck and it wasn't supposed to, and it, messed up my esophagus. I'm like, oh God, was this going to happen to my child? And thankfully, his dad just like made the decision to do it because I was still very scared and like, oh, I got to
I
keep
love
him
that.
safe. It was very easy to add. It was he takes it with yogurt in the morning. So every morning, like, I'll get his medicine out and I'm just like, okay, here's your yogurt, here's a spoon. And like, he does it himself. Then he moves on. Like, he just, oh, okay, I got it. Now let me go eat breakfast.
So cool.
Yeah.
Based on your experience, is there anything that you want clinicians who maybe aren't as familiar with PWS or Vykat to know, or other families to know about this process?
The process for me in general, or for me specifically, was very easy. And it makes me sad to think about all of our medicines that we have to work through and doctors we have to go through to get our kids what they need, that it was such a breath of fresh air that this was such an easy process. And I mean, I know it's not going to be that way for everyone, but I do want some like hope for them almost to say, like, hey, this is actually a pharmacy that's going to work with you and cares about your kid actually getting this medicine. And it just feels more personal, and they're willing to actually work with us and our population of
Mhm.
kids
That's good to
and
hear
adults.
because I've heard from families that the thought of adding one more thing, going through another pharmacy, is part of the deterrent for some people. Is
Yes, and it was a thought that definitely crossed my mind, like, not to say, is the medicine worth it, but is this going to cause so much more on our plates than what it was? Like, I don't want him to have more and more and more with what he's already taking, but it wasn't a hard transition for us at all to make this addition. But I think for clinicians, what we need the most as parents is to be listened to and to hear our concerns, but also I need clinicians to be willing to work with other doctors.
yes.
Like, it makes such a huge difference to know that your doctor is willing to listen to other doctors, to have conversations with other doctors, to just feel like they're in your corner too.
I actually think that's a good opportunity for us to give Dr. Miller a shout out too, because we know
Mhm.
she's seeing a lot of patients in the PWS community. She's also consulting with a lot of
Yes.
local
Yes.
endocrinologists
Mhm.
across the country as well. And that
Yeah.
doesn't have to do that. And she does because she cares so much about the kids in our community and our
Yeah.
families.
I think she magically has like 4 extra hours in a
She must.
day to be able to do this, because I don't understand
Yeah.
with how much she does for us that she's able to do it in the same amount of time
Uh,
that the rest of us have.
Either
She's
that
just
or she
a
never sleeps.
superhuman. Yeah, that also must be.
She never looks tired either, so that's not fair.
Exactly.
But that's really great. I do think that's a really, really good point for the local clinicians and maybe clinicians who aren't as familiar with Prader-Willi syndrome is to be able to swallow our egos a little bit,
Mhm.
be willing to consult with the
Mhm.
experts. They're the
Yes,
experts.
to know, hey, I don't know as much as this expert knows on this. Let me, swallow my ego and say, what can I learn from you to help my patient?
Thank you for listening to this episode of PWS United. If you want to learn more about Prader-Willi syndrome and how PWSA USA is making strides in advocacy, family support, and research, visit www.pwsausa.org. And while you're there, we encourage you to sign up for our Pulse email newsletter to stay informed about the latest news, resources, and events. Don't forget to subscribe to the PWS United podcast so you never miss an episode. Our team is always available to support families and their loved ones living with PWS 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You can call us at 941-312-0400 or email info@pwsausa.org. Catch a new episode next Tuesday, and until then, have a great week.